Or back at the bench with the mighty Nano Micro Stick 75s, both in one piece.
They're both in one piece.
With the ultra micro, super lightweight plane, unless you handle it and snap things, if you don't bring it back in one piece, you're doing something wrong.
There's something, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
You could crunch it into a wall or something, I suppose, but for the most part, I mean, at like 9 grams, there's no weight to
I think you're going to do more. They're at a greater risk of being damaged by handling than anything.
Touch them and you're done. So it happens. We've done that just maybe a couple times.
No, for professionals.
Not with these though. We've been good. It's what's one of the handy things about having the stick fuselage too. You just kind of get it and you toss it and you're not grabbing everything. So enough of that.
You ready to get into model characteristics?
Let's get into model characteristics.
Let's do that. 5x5 review. We'll start with model characteristics. Build as advertised. We gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yep.
How much building did you have to do on that?
These were true RTFs. You just pulled them out and it was ready to go. No adjustments, no problems.
And they were both in good shape coming out of the box.
Yeah, they were both in fantastic, flyable conditions. So
finish. We gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a foam. It'll only score so high. Maybe we ought to have a separate category for foam and build up.
We do. If you look at it, we do it within, as we say, well, this is within its class, within its category. But then we turn around and we say, well, this is a foam. It only gets so good. Yeah. We have seen some foams though that they're full fuselage, full built, and it's really phenomenal. Yeah. These look great though. They're a stick, so all you've got is a couple of wing surfaces. The painting, they painted them, and in fact, talked to the manufacturer, and they said the green paint is a little lighter than the red paint. So when you're getting down at that sub-gram scale, just as a tip for everybody, if you want the most agile one, which for us, and maybe their flying skill is much better than ours, which
there may be some purists that may argue that would argue that it's a roundel versus the Iron Cross. I don't know.
They say it's the paint. Yeah, we'll stick with what they say, but the green is supposed to be a little bit lighter. But nonetheless, it's a great paint job. It's a nice flat finish, and the stickers are on there extremely well.
Yes, they are.
It looks good.
Power, 4.5 out of 5. Now, I've noticed that these, and I didn't expect them to be underpowered by any means, but I was impressed with how you're able to pull yourself around with them very easily.
Yeah, you do. In fact, we'll get into that in the flight as advertised.
So power, 4.5 out of 5. Ground handling, 4 out of 5. In this particular case, ground handling would indicate what?
Well, it would indicate that you can actually fly effectively take off and land from the ground on the supplied landing gear.
Tail wheel needs a little help.
It's a little friction in the tail wheel. We did do some landings into the headwind. Actually, we did it on kind of rough concrete, but they landed okay.
Yeah,
they didn't really have a problem at all.
And they're so light that there's no rollout.
Yeah, you'll find yourself flying on grass on a calm night, and so really ground handling's, tank it when you're done. It's not going to hurt it at all. But it did take a little bit of effort to get it to come off controllably on the ground. It wanted to start banking a little bit just because you don't have the benefit of snapping that tail up when you want to, and then working through the pitch change.
It's pretty much a punch and
punch it, get it going, and then back off very quickly. Hand launching as well, we noticed, and that really qualifies as ground handling.
Yeah.
Launch it as a glider with the
very
the motor
throttle,
just barely going. Just kind of easy launch it as a glider. It'll settle into a nice even flat flyaway pattern or fly-off pattern, and then just give it a little bit of throttle and start executing your flight.
And I made the mistake myself of giving it too much throttle, and as soon as it left my hand, it was behind me.
Yeah, we want to go up and then take off. So.
And I couldn't fly it that way. Yeah. Durability, 3.5 out of 5.
Just
kind of mentioned
the nature of everything being so tiny, so fragile. They're not going to be terribly durable when it comes to putting in and out of the box. When it comes to you handling them, you throw them in the front seat or something, you're going to have a higher probability of damaging them. From themselves, from their own impact, their own lack of inertial mass, they're going to be difficult to damage on grass or on softer surfaces. So it's definitely a compromise with any stick design. They're a little more fragile.
Sure.
But, again, it's going to be from your manhandling for the most part, or
manhandling.
Manhandling.
That's right. All right, flight is advertised. Let's kind of talk through this one just a little bit. We didn't really give it. Let's give it a score right now. We didn't designate a score.
We didn't agree on a score, so we're going to include you guys in the process.
That's right. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't.
It's not a bad thing. But one thing that we need to, I think, specify right from the get-go is you can't compare these to any of the micros that are out there, per se. All right, they don't have standard control surfaces. There aren't a lot of micros. It's almost at a point where we've kind of moved beyond this type of flying to a degree, and I don't mean that negative.
We've moved beyond this type of model.
Exactly.
The mainstream modelers have. They're like, oh, great, I can have a micro with an elevator, and we have ailerons now. Remember how big it was when ailerons came out in the ultra micros? When you look at these, it's an interest. It's a particular focus inside the ultra micro portion of the flying community.
Yep.
And it was a great lesson for Rob and I both when we got out there and we started flying them. We had to tell ourselves not to keep yanking back on the right stick. I mean,
I was do anything.
I was flying constantly on that right stick. Like, come on up, nose down, nose down, nose up. So it's really kind of fascinating as we got further and further into the models. And for us, we spent a lot of time with these guys. More so than some other models, just because we found ourselves being challenged by a different flying experience.
Exactly.
Which wasn't a bad thing, because once you learned how to fly it and you understood that, it's essentially a powered glider in terms, and I'm speaking completely off the plantation or the map or however you want to say it. To me, it felt like a powered glider in that it was you weren't actively or positively influencing the flight with the power plant.
No.
You were giving yourself altitude, and then you were maintaining forward flight with the power plant.
You got it.
You weren't, punching yourself out of trouble if you get, where you're starting to lose some altitude and you really got to horse out of it. The tail's going to pop down on you. You're going to find yourself just completely filling that canopy of a wing up with lift, and then you lack the control of being able to do anything other than a pseudo hammerhead. You're back in the ground. Once you allowed the plane to fly,
it flew nice.
It flew beautiful.
And first thing I noticed, I didn't mean to interrupt you. First thing I noticed is you don't get the porpoising that you're used to seeing with throttle control for your elevator.
On our first few flights, absolutely.
Well, sure, but that was us.
But as we got used to it, everything started leveling out. And it was like, hey, this is cool. We do nice decent ascents, and then we would do some spiral descents, and we would glide with the wind, and they handled extremely well. But you're right, getting that porpoising habit out of your head, because what do? We could hammer the power plant, and shove the elevator forward, and keep that nose down, and then go into whatever climb we wanted to.
Yeah.
It was fun flying. It was different flying, and it was fun flying. Which, as we get down through the skill level, we're going to talk kind of place that in its positioning as well. But it was. I'm sticking with my 4.5 out of 5.
All right. And I agree with that. I do.
It's tough to say, okay, within their class. Remember, all of our reviews go within their class. Within a 1-channel, 2-channel throttle and rudder, within a 2-channel plane class, these fly fantastic.
They do.
Don't stick them with a 3-channel with an elevator and expect them to fly like that. They're not. They're very different machines. So it's when we get the pilot experience or skill level, it will kind of explain how best.
I'll add one more thing before we move on. The thing that you'll find is you don't have to. You hear of small planes or a certain plane that, man, you've really got to fly that thing. You got to stay on the sticks. You got to be aware. It's not like that with these. These will fly themselves beautifully. The thing you have to do is calm down, relax. Once you learn the characteristics of this, it's not a hard plane to fly at all.
Absolutely not.
And you don't have to stay on the sticks. You don't have to constantly monitor this or that.
No, it truly wants to glide on its own. As soon as you kill the power, it wants to settle into a nice glide. And you find yourself forcing it out of controlled flight all the time as you're getting used to it, which that's your fault.
It's your fault.
Entirely.
Okay, flight time, 4.5 out of 5. We got quite a while out of these. Now, we did fly these today outside. All right, these are considered an indoor flyer.
We flew them first inside, and then we did our review filming outside because we were going to prove that you can fly these with a slight breeze.
And it was a slight breeze, but I was amazed at how well they handled it. I really did. And with the wind, you had to power yourself through that wind a little bit, and we got quite a bit of time out of them.
I like the fact that my skills with these advanced exponentially, though, in that wind as opposed to in a totally calm environment, because you kind of get complacent. You're like, oh, just a little bit of throttle up, and you leave it where it's at, and you fly it around, and you pull the throttle. With this, you had to play the wind. You had to work it. You had to work the plane, and to be able to get it to fly so well and smooth. And you'll actually see the progression of our filming. By the time we got to the green plane, we'd beat ourselves up enough to where we were starting to calm down more on the sticks in the wind and flying with it, and instead of flying against it.
You weren't reacting to it. No. You were actually making it do what you wanted
it was a great experience. To me, it made them even more fun by having a little bit of a breeze.
It was an eye opener for both of us. It really was.
Next.
Field size, very small. You could do these on a calm evening in your side yard. As far as indoors, even though they are a microplane, you're going to want a little bit of room just because of the characteristics of how they're controlled with the throttle. You've got to get air over top of that rudder. So you've got to be moving. And to enjoy them, you don't want to be so cramped that you're constantly just jamming left, right, up and down. So, you would want to, I'd say at least a gymnasium.
A small middle school, elementary gymnasium would be perfect.
Something with a little height to it so you can get up there and just enjoy that gliding characteristics.
And then, of course, outdoors on a calm day. On a dead calm day, you're great.
Calm,
we had, we were probably puffing about a half a mile an hour wind, honestly, because we were kind of in a cove with some trees. It was just constantly doing that little puff, puff, puff of wind. And
that's all it takes, though.
You could manage it.
Yeah.
You could manage it.
Yep. Okay, portability, we gave it a 5 out of 5. These fit nicely back in the box. Everything's got a place, a place for everything, however you want to say it.
With carry handle.
With carry handle, that's it, 5 out of 5 with carry handle. Skill level. All right, this is where we've got a little bit more bantering back and forth, I guess.
It's an interesting way to look at it, though. I think the thing that we kind of came to the conclusion is for people with 3-channel or more flight skill, this is an intermediate plane, which people are going to disagree with us aggressively on this, but think of it this way. If you have experience and skill, it's intermediate plane because it's going to take you time to detrain your right thumb if you're flying in mode 2.
Yep.
You're going to have to calm down and really absorb how it wants to handle lift, how it wants to ascend, and then fly it comfortably with just the rudder. It's a little more of a challenge for us. We had to stop and think about what we were doing. Yep.
Yeah.
Then once we got into it, within 4 or 5, maybe 6 flights, we were in the groove, and we started enjoying it more and more and more. If you're a beginner, say you have a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, and you want to have them just try to fly something, there's only one stick to really worry about.
Yeah.
You know, you get the throttle, but indoors especially, you could set that pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
And just have them fly it around the rudder.
You could pretty much just leave the throttle as is and let them tool around.
Is that your fair assessment as well? It's kind of like no experience beginner with experience intermediate?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I definitely would not consider this a trainer by any means.
No, not for anyone, because you're going to immediately move into a 3-channel.
Exactly.
Well, that wraps up our review of the Nano Micro Stick 75s from Aries RC. If you want to see the full review, you can go to our website at tobefly.com. Or for our mobile users, you can go to rcflightsource.com, download the mobile app, and take everything on the go, including our field locator and parts locator. I'm Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.